This program and its contents are designed for information and educational purposes only. This program does not render medical advice or professional services and is not intended to be a substitute for professional care. The information provided here should not be used for the purposes of diagnosing or treating a medical or psychiatric condition. If you have or suspect you may have a health problem, consult your healthcare provider.
I'm Diane Silva, and Chris Silva, my co-host. Right. And one of the things I do want to say about anxiety is we made it out to be a really bad guy. Anxiety is not. This cartel is only there to save your life. That's what it's there for. It's really overreactive, very dramatic. You know, it's trying to save your bum.
Right. Everybody has it to varying degrees.
Yeah.
It's when the anxiety gets to a point where it prohibits you from doing things that you want to do is when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, you know, some people are okay with jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, you know.
No, thank you.
But I still think they have that fight or flight because they're that adrenaline junkie.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? You've got that adrenaline still, so there's still fear.
Oh, sure.
Some of us respond to that fear going, ain't happening. We're flying, we're gone, we're not doing it, we're avoiding. And then when we won't listen to the anxiety itself, it brings along shame, it brings along guilt, it brings along, you know, survivor. It gets a gang with it. So, you know, we've got this cartel of self-preservation that has gone to believe it is really trying to save us, when really what it's doing is getting in the way for us having a life.
Right.
You know, yes, when I see a snake slither across, yeah, I'm going to be afraid, but it's a different kind of afraid.
Right.
You know,
because, as you said, with relating to the adrenaline junkies, they're doing that to get the adrenaline.
mm-hmm.
They're doing it for the excitement.
Right.
They enjoy doing it. So it's at a different level
right.
than the protection anxiety that is normal in people.
Right, but the normal fear response is not a fretting, worrying about, it's factual. Don't step in front of that bus.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than, oh my God, what will happen if I step in front of the bus? Oh my God, the bus is going to come up, you know, and this is where that anxiety gets a little dramatic and it gets caught in a loop and we're refiring, and it's those of us who got it understand it. Those of us who don't, I'm sorry. You kind of get the external part of it, and
mm-hmm.
what I would say to you is, if you can find something that you're really, really, really afraid of, that you won't do, and most people it's public speaking, you know, or find something.
Right.
Just so you, and I'm not saying live it, I'm just saying get a hold of that just for a second, and then that gives you an idea of what this anxiety is doing to these other people, you know, to the people who suffer or deal with anxiety.
Right.
So with that, and do you have any last ideas, suggestions before we tie a little knot in this?
I was just gonna ask you, you know, as far as the tools, you know, what are you gonna use for this last week?
This last week, everything I can get my hands on. I've got the breathing. I'm going to definitely try to work on. I'm going to work on trying to be mindful. And yeah, I can say trying all day long, but that's what I have to do. It's a process. It's work in progress.
It's an awareness.
It's an awareness. It's, you know, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to make several trips to the airport. I'm going to pack. I've set a day aside to pack. That invokes a lot of anxiety in itself. I'm going to go to Lewis and Clark Landing and watch the planes come in and out. I'm going to track the flights that go over to Hawaii and back. I'm going to track the flights that go over to Europe, just to get, you know, I'm not going to absorb, I'm not going to live here, but when I feel the anxiety come up, and it just does, it just shows up, knocks on my door, you know, sometimes it just whips it wide open and I go into full-fledged anxiety, is get used to using the tools. Because I know when we get back, it's not over. It's just a different chapter. I've accomplished one, and we're only as good as the last success.
Right.
And speaking of that, I don't always feel successful. You know, yeah, okay, I've done the Skyfari 3 or 4 times. That doesn't mean I'm a success. I don't give myself the, yay, I did it, and live in that for a minute.
Well, and that's one of the challenging parts, I feel, that you go through is in the aspect of sometimes it appears that you do not remember what steps you have done and been able to accomplish to get you to this point. I mean, at one point you never thought that you were going to be on a TV show. At one point you never thought you'd be on a plane, and you have been on a plane. You have done so many things that you have forgotten that you've done, that it's hard. It appears to me that it's hard for you to remember those, to hold on to those, to build upon those, to get you to the next step.
Well, if I may quote a movie, Pretty Woman, as Julia Roberts says, it's easier to believe the bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to not take a look, or to take a look and say, oh, you did good. It's not something that was encouraged. When I grew up, it was considered conceited to be, and it wasn't a good thing. You didn't toot your own horn. You didn't relish in your successes, you know. But that's where it's messing up some of that's some of the cocktail that made the anxiety worse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not going to get into my history because I'm only a sum total of my history. I'm trying to rewrite it, or rewrite my future, the new chapters. So with that, we're going to kind of wrap this up and say, I wish you well in your travels. If you have any questions, our website's on here. Get a hold of us. We'll be happy to share our experiences and talk about whatever it is you need to talk about. You know, that's what this is about, is helping you live the life you want. You know, I'm not proud of the fact that I have anxiety, and I don't sit there and want to tell the world about it from my own perspective. I want to be able to tell the world to say, hey, we can work through this.
You're not alone.
You're not alone. And don't, you know, it's no different than having a disease. We have to learn to accept what it is we have, and then decide what it is we can do about it and how we want to live. So with that, have a wonderful day.